Welcome back to 60 Miles from Anywhere. The roads are awful and I'm staying at home a lot these days. I'm just trying to get some writing done. So today, you're going to hear another post about writing and the creative process. This one is called Finding Your Focus and Priming the Pump. If you're like me and having a hard time getting motivated to do work, this post is for you. If you like this episode, please check out my website, 60milesfromanywhere.com. There you'll find more stories on my blog, as well as insights about creative writing and travel articles. My fiction is available on Amazon.com, and you can find the link on my website. My book is called Song of the Cinder, and it's available in both trade paperback and ebook for Kindle. It makes a great gift for that lover of fantasy, alternate history, or horror in your life. Your donations to support this podcast and my website are always appreciated. You can click my Buy Me a Coffee link on my website if you'd like to leave a donation. Also, be sure to leave a rating or a comment on whatever platform you're using to listen to this podcast. Ratings and comments help improve my rankings on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and many others. I'm also an affiliate with Origin USA. They're a company that makes boots, jeans, martial arts gear, and all sorts of other things, and it's 100% American-made. Click on that link on my website and use code Harris10 for 10% off your next purchase. I wear my American Bison boots all over the place, year-round, and I never leave home without them. I put them through things that would chew up lesser boots, from climbing up the side of mountains to walking several miles a day in European cities. They work great on the trail, and if you polish them up, you can even wear them to a fancy restaurant for dinner. All content is written, recorded, and produced by me, Clinton A. Harris. If you're interested in working with me for podcasting, writing, or other projects, please contact me through the links on my website at 60milesfromanywhere.com. Let's get started. I decided I'm giving up trying to work on the book for the evening. I'm listening to the Grace album by Jeff Buckley and writing a few words here. I'm looking at my hands as I type and noticing how old they look all of a sudden. I live at high altitude and I should probably drink more water, but somehow they don't look like the hands I remember. They're wrinkled, shiny in places. I see old scars I don't remember how I got anymore. The last couple of days have been busy with paid writing assignments. Yesterday was a 4,000-word day. Normally I like to spread these assignments out, but I just wanted them out of the way so I could work on the book and clear up my schedule for other things. Sometimes I feel like I'm chasing a whole bunch of rabbits, and it's difficult sometimes to pick out just one to run down. I do the paid writing, I script, I produce these podcasts, I send queries to potential affiliate partners, and I work on the book. Sometimes I think I should make a list so I can just pick one and run that sucker down until it's done. Each day, every day. It doesn't always work like that. Today I wanted to work on the book, and every time I sat down to do it, it just felt like a huge weight I couldn't lift anymore. I know the key is to just keep chiseling away at it until I get through it. The proverbial elephant you eat one bite at a time. Instead, I got on a tangent and I wrote another podcast script. This one was going to be about how to get a passport, and instead it turned into why you should get one. It'll be about 20 minutes when I record it. My creativity for the day was spent, and I just looked at the book with a blank stare and went, duh. I enjoy doing the podcasts, and the hits and responses that I get on them is instant gratification. It's enough for me to keep producing them too. It also allows me to flex my creative muscles when the book has been demanding less of that and pulling from other parts of my skill set, like editing, just to make the story better. I had a conversation with a friend today about the mistakes we've made in our pasts. The funny thing is that a lot of what the book is about is exactly that. I don't know what it is recently, but I've been having a hard time catching that vibe and running with it. We talked at length about the dilemma that has plagued so many of us. You look back at your youth and how your body was as good as it's ever going to be, and yet you had very little self-confidence, hardly any self-respect. You didn't understand at the time, and you let yourself be convinced of a lot of stupid bullshit because you didn't feel like you were good enough. You needed to matter to other people first in order to accept yourself. Talk about a moment of wishing you could have a do-over just so you could tell yourself that you are about as perfect as you will ever be and not to worry about what other people think or say. The funny thing is I could use that same kind of magic for everything up until a year ago or even 6 months ago. I was good enough. I was always good enough, and if somebody didn't think so, that was their problem, their loss. It had very little to do with me. Only now I have the hands of a 47-year-old man. My knees hurt when I try to run, and I feel the weight of them like those dreams where you're trying to run and everything just drags and slows down and something is chasing you. Except for the first 3 hours of every day, when I'm struggling to engage my brain into some semblance of functionality, I feel like my mind right now is sharper than it has ever been. A big reason for that is finding peace in my life, reducing my stress, eating better, not worrying about every little damn thing. I think that will kill you faster than cigarettes. I'm working on trying to let myself be happy. So many of us go our whole lives waiting for somebody else to give us permission to be happy. Do we have enough money, enough toys, enough prestige at work? How nice is the car we drive? Do we have the perfect vacation photos on Instagram? Are we grateful enough for the shit we have and show that gratitude with the right memes on Facebook? I don't have a plan for every little thing. Right now I'm getting fulfillment in little bite-sized pieces. Cultivating relationships with people, allowing myself to make mistakes, letting the work that I do guide my direction like a leap of faith. I'm not worrying so much about what should be happening, but rather taking things day by day without prejudice, without expectations. My hands might look old, but maybe that is the manifestation of wisdom. Maybe I just need to drink more water. Whatever it is, I'm going to accept the wisdom thing. There's no reason to worry about getting older anymore. I've passed that point. Now I get to feel comfortable in this sagging skin and graying hair. My aching knees and the awareness that I no longer need to run when I can get there by walking or driving in a car. I'm starting to consider eating healthier. My cholesterol is a little bit high, and I'd like to ride around in this body as well as I can for as long as it holds out. I'm sleeping again, finally. I have to keep telling myself I'm building the life that I want and just starting off one brick at a time. It would have been easier if I had been able to start 20 years ago, but there's no sense in worrying about that anymore. I have the time and opportunity I need right now. It's up to me whether or not I want to use the time I've got left. So today, I started scripting 2 podcasts, including this one. I didn't edit, but I feel closer to the material now, and I can craft it how it deserves to be worked instead of just plowing through just to say I worked on it. The story isn't going anywhere, and since I'm going to self-publish it, there's really no rush. I set my own deadlines. I'm creating the story how I want to see it. But I do need to work on my focus. I need to focus on one thing at a time, even if that means some days I write for money and other days I work towards a less immediate goal, which could yield even better results later. I have no way of knowing what is coming. All I know is how good it feels to be doing these things. There are just some things you can feel are the right thing to do, right in your gut. For now, I'm going to run with that as long as I can. Letting myself be overwhelmed by a dozen different things I should be doing and getting none of them done isn't going to win any victories. It's only going to bring me back to those years where I was young and insecure and worried about how I would look to others rather than how I felt inside. I know I get squirreled sometimes. And there are those days when I feel like I have so many options on what I need to work on that I can just seize up and wind up scrolling TikTok for a couple hours. Ernest Hemingway said something I use a lot. He said, "As long as you can start, you are all right. The juice will come." I found myself stuck plenty of times. I'll give you the breakdown of a typical day being locked up. Here's some of the options I've got. Should I research affiliate markets? Should I submit more queries to magazines? Should I write something new? Should I check the agencies for assignments? Should I edit something that needs to be polished and send it out again? Should I record another podcast? And if you're hearing this, you already know what I picked at this particular moment. Should I read up more on strategy for what I need to do? Should I try to find new clients? Maybe I should write a new blog post. Maybe I should go out and take some photographs and add them to my portfolio. Maybe I should just turn everything off and read something for a change. Sometimes I'll just sit down and email an old friend I haven't talked to in a while. I'll jot out some notes in my notebook or even use the Notes app on my phone. As long as whatever it is gets my fingers moving and the ideas flowing, the rest is easy. It's breaking through that level and making my mind work, my fingers hitting keys, not scrolling stupid apps. Even if I read, I'll get an idea and have to stop and write it down sometimes. And that can carry me on for an hour or more, just writing my own stuff. If I'm not distracting myself with cooking or cleaning the house, I can just start, and I'll be okay. The words will start to flow. There's a reason he gets to be Hemingway, I suppose because he was right about this. Brief rant about Hemingway, or rather what my classical education taught me about the man. In college, the curriculum was dead set against him and other writers of his ilk. I read a lot of crap in college, a lot of progressive, transgressive, postmodern, whatever fiction. I started reading Hemingway and Steinbeck and the others on the bus when I was commuting to work. It reminded me of that line in Good Will Hunting when he says, "You people baffle me. You spend all this money on beautiful, fancy books, and they're the wrong fucking books." I was taught to loathe those kind of writers. I had teachers call them dead white men while they choked other curriculum down our throats. They didn't stop to think for a moment that they were changing things just for the sake of making them different. Different doesn't always mean better. When I read The Old Man and the Sea, I didn't hate literature for once. I didn't find it to be exploitative or ridiculously artful. It wasn't a book written by a panel of MFA assholes critiquing some poor grad student who brought the bagel bar spread in hopes of getting a decent review for their first draft. When I read Vonnegut, I read brilliant thoughts that were already considered dusty. The new authors were in style, and for the life of me, I can't remember a single one of them. They didn't write for just anyone who wanted to pick up a book and started reading. These kind of assholes write for committees of other assholes, patting themselves on the back, talking about how influential these books will be. Probably because they're just regurgitating the crap they came up with, and they want to see referenced in some other new work to maintain their relevance. There's a reason some books are still on the shelf after nearly 100 years. Sometimes it's good to take note. I've read too many of the wrong fucking books in my 47 years. I'm learning, though. I'm still trying. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. I can spend a couple hours writing content for a law firm, and they come back at me with notes, when I know that nobody is even reading their content. And the only phrase they want anyone to read is, "Call us to speak with an attorney who can get you the compensation you deserve," like a late-night infomercial. The rest is fluff and filler, but everyone is a fucking editor when they're writing out the checks. I miss the days of good content written for people to inform and entertain, before it was all about SEO scores, which create word salad just to make it to the first page of a Google search. I miss the days when people went apeshit over the latest book Oprah was trying to put over, before our attention spans turned to jelly and we're limited to being immediately entertained on the first 5 seconds of a TikTok video. The slow burn, the dog-eared book with the brown pages from reading in the sun for too long, and wrinkled pages from reading in the tub. Books people couldn't put down. Books they could chat about with their friends, not just because it was the book in the reading group that everyone picked, but because everyone read it because they wanted to. But when my fingers start going, that doesn't matter. I think our need to tell stories is ingrained in us so deeply, like an instinct, that our primal selves haven't yet caught up with our technology-codependent brains yet. Not just yet. Give it a generation or two, and about the longest thing anybody will be reading is whatever brand of toothpaste is printed on the tube. So I just try to tell my stories and write them in a way that I would want to read them if I had no idea what was going to happen next. Taking the first step, priming the pump, and letting it rip is the best way to do this. Give yourself permission to be as good as the people who care about you think you are, yourself included. All those no's you heard when you submitted that story aren't the definitive judgment. The advice I used to get was, if I'm not getting published, I just need to be a better writer. That was 10, 15 years ago. I know I'm a better writer now. Should I keep believing the gaslighting as to why I'm not getting published? Or maybe I should look at it in a different way. Maybe like everything else, the system is awful. There's a lot of good, talented people out there selling themselves short, while middling assholes are winning it. Even Henry Cavill got fired from Superman. That's like the time Charlie Chaplin took second place in a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest. Look it up. I have a hard time accepting compliments sometimes. A buddy told me this morning that he's a regular listener to my podcast, and he would love to see the place where I'm living because of the stories I've shared about being up here. I've had people reach out to me about my personal blog. They've told me I articulated exactly what they'd been feeling, but didn't know how to say themselves. I've been told, too, that I have talent and experience and don't sell myself short. Geez, sometimes it's hard to believe all that when you're just scraping by. When you hear crits the likes of which Lumbergh from Office Space would deliver. Yeah, Peter, I'm going to need you to come in this weekend and rewrite those headings in title case, okay? I'd like to tell these lawyers where they can stick their 30 pieces of flair. When people who know you tell you you're doing amazing things, believe them. That isn't the same thing as seeking external validation. They're probably fighting through years of your own self-doubt and prescribed humility just to let you know that you're ready to level up. You have all the tools. You have all the drive. You just need to take the first step. The juice will come. Lately, I've been apologizing for my work. It's too editorial. It's not what the editors are looking for, obviously, or I'd be selling more stories. I have a black belt in beating the absolute dog shit out of myself, and that needs to stop. That just gets in the way of the stories only I can tell. I'm working on it. I'm trying real hard to do the work, and so should you. Here's your sign you're ready. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Who knows, maybe after this I'm fired up enough to keep chipping away at the book tonight. All it took was to get my fingers hitting keys again. It's okay to let your house get messy for a couple of days, too. It's fine if you have a frickin' sink full of dishes. If you start the work, then keep going. Don't stop until you're exhausted. There's always going to be more dishes and more laundry. There's only this moment to do what you want to do to achieve your goals. I just cracked open a new can of coffee. So let's do this. Thank you for joining me tonight with my podcast. I hope it's inspired you. I know I'm going to probably sign off and start working on the book or some other kind of project. I'm just really amped up right now. So, again, all content is written, recorded, and produced by me, Clinton A. Harris. If you're interested in working with me for podcasting, a writing project, or other projects, please shoot me an email. That would be great. Your donation to support this podcast is always appreciated. And like I said, you can buy me a coffee through my link on my site, or you can support me in other ways. Tell your friends. Share my link on your Facebook. Every little bit helps. So I hope you've enjoyed what I've said tonight. And be kind to yourself. That's all I got to say. Bye for now.